Okay, gamer, pro gamer. That's kind of a misconcept. I'm not a pro gamer. I always like the idea of being a pro at a game. I'm, yes, a new YouTuber to a new story. I'm a gaming fan who loves gaming, but there's where it's my misunderstanding. Is that all I am about comics, games, personals that did not fit the bit? No. Though I'm a gaming expert on so many levels, but I was never the person that you would see in a game. Because gaming was like the new step of level. A challenge here, a challenge there. Well, most challenges were always a challenge in my book because if you looked at a life perspective, I never played those real life games where which one the PlayStation came in, which is the most oddest thing. I never thought I would be a PlayStation fan. Even though it was always me as a Nintendo fan. I said, you know what, I'm going to get me a Nintendo 64. That would be the end of it. That would be my ending of my gaming experience. Game Boys were not a pawn to me. They were not a maneuver in my games because Game Boys were not a strategy in my point. I did not have that stronghold of kind of like isolating my gameplays. So here I come into a new gameplay idea. Thinking of gaming that is beyond or new or reality. It was always hard to put reality to video games for me because I was not really into reality. Reality was not my friend. It was not my foe, though. Reality always beat me up, and I was always a person in gaming that would get beat up first. So imagine what would happen when I came into a fight. They'd always target me and they'd hit me with a weapon. They'd always choose a weapon of choice because who would want to, if you see me right now, I was big as a kid. I was pretty much large with all the reasons, and they always wanted to attack me with something that was like a rock. Let's face it, you wouldn't want to come close to me because if you came with me, it would probably be like, what, a stick? And people have done that, where it was disgusting. Imagine being that person in the town using like Zelda, because here we go into the Zelda franchise, which is a touchy subject for me because Zelda was almost the scariest game when I first played Ocarina of Time, which is the one series that hit it off for me. Because let's face it, if you have played the Zelda series, I played Link to the Past, but I wasn't into the Super Nintendo anymore. I just died out of it. I'm not really into PlayStation yet. I have not got to be a PlayStation. Super Nintendo 64 just came into my life. There were three games of choice that since I was kind of banned from being I was a teen, not still coming into the mature. I was experimenting in Turok because that's by far my favorite shooting game of all time. It's kind of a debate between James Bond and Turok because Turok brought the fantasy into it, but James Bond brought the bang into it, you know? So here we go. New thought, new theory. EC into a gaming world where it was experienced beyond me. But Zelda was the one that really stood out for me on many levels because Zelda was one of those games I never really got into it at first. I was always the robot slayer destruction. I mean, I was always into fantasy, but fantasy was not the department you wanted to go on me because my fantasies were kind of out there. They were like scary, and I'm thinking like, yeah, Zelda would be the ideal game, but come on, Zelda, me, and I always saw him as a fairy, and there was the judgmental part. I never really saw Zelda, the Link, because I didn't really know who he was. I thought he was Zelda. I didn't notice he was the Link, the male character. I thought that he was mainly seen as this outsider. So that's why maybe Link would be the ideal character for him, because he was an outsider, and he was looking on to a place that he was coming into. But there's where the question is, why would I be a Link? I mean, there's no strength in me. I'm not a person to gain strength on any other. I mean, yeah, I'm pretty strong on so many weird levels, but I was never one to seek strength first. I mean, I always liked the tactic to sweep you on your face, and Link did do that for me. He did come with a strategy where it's like, he's not gonna hit you head on, and I'm not a person to hit you head on in any strategy. I'm a little tired now, so explain these videos. There's Rain, there's these videos. I like comics, I like cards. Now, where we'll go to, so I'm kind of getting off topic because I'm a confused person. I will not go into the details of my personal life right now. I will just tell you that I am a gamer be first, and this is where the gaming experience becomes hard, because at night there was always the times where gaming just scared the crap. Think about it, when the lights came off, which is, I'm not afraid of the dark, but imagine I'm afraid of what's in the dark. So you always know where I'm going with the franchise of this, the woods. Think about the first time you went into those woods, that somehow you managed to get past that confusing stage where you just kept ending up in the freaking, and you wanted to just get past it because, let's face it, if you went for the sword first, you already know you're going to go for the shield. Well, I'm a person that is a strategist already. I mean, somehow I found out that early on I was a smart guy, but not really too many believe that because they see me taking the oddest approaches to things. So I decided, I was gonna do something different in Zelda. Most people just let's get the weapons first. I wanted to see the areas, the landscapes, because what is the most beautiful part of a video game? The landscapes. Yeah, the weapons are the main idea, but think about it. You would never have a game with weapons if there was never a person to build them. And the villages stood out for me too, because most of the villages in those towns well, let's face it, they weren't really towns. They're just villages that were mostly not. I mean, let's face it, they used like kind of like what almost like a Knights of the Realm kind of like story. But what it is that I did like the magic approach, which is really kind of hard to touch subject. I was never a fan of magic because people feared me in magic really bad. Because if I already am a fan of psychic and poison and Pokemon, imagine what I would do in Link, where they were always banning, like limiting on your magic, and I was always a big like thing where they limited your magic, because that would be a weird thing. What if they decided never to give you a limit on magic? I mean, that would be a game that I would love to play, but I've yet to experience a game like that where they just wouldn't limit you on stuff, because there's never been a game like that I've ever played. So Zelda was the first that it was really the game that brought me out. So now, new thought. I told you about Zelda, why I was a fan of it, but now back to the forest part, where it's kind of creepy going through a forest as it is, or even a woodly area. Now think of that as a night you're going through that, because Zelda did tap into that first idea where you had a night-like time. I mean, other games probably did it, but it was the first idea that you really were in the dark, And I thought about those times when I went into the, again, naming is not my department, pronunciation is really not the best. So the tree, where you go to the forest and you see that tree that talks, and see, you already know I'm a slow person when it comes to like characters, but maybe that wasn't my slow department. It was just the characters who always seem to have knowledge was not my stronghold. It was always the characters who were like in the secret, Navi was probably the most annoying character I've ever met in those games, because what does she always do? Remind you stuff. And if you already know where I respect Fall From on this one, because there are those guys that just remind you of stuff that always happened in games. Like, well, the owl, which, I mean, I'm not a thing that killed wildlife, but that owl, there were times that I didn't need him, and there were times that you really, like, hey, you're leaving me up on, remember the first time you went to Death Mountain, like, on the Ocarina of Time, and you got to where he was at the top of the mountain, he could carry you down, and you're like, I could easily grab onto him, but do I really want to grab to on a freaking owl in the middle of a freaking hill? Like, think about it. There's nothing safe about that. You didn't think that. I don't think anyone thought that he was going to actually safely carry you down. That's why maybe there was a debate there, because I always liked him for some reason. Maybe because he gave me knowledge I already could follow, but there was the lie. People who you see, who always give you the knowledge of the game that you already knew, but somehow was new to you. So, back to the forest, which is where I'm starting to lose topic, because I'm tremendously scared of woodly areas, versus for reasons I will not mention, but the idea of going into somewhere where in caves alone, because I'm like the guy in Zelda that would have been, if you saw me in a cave or saw me in the woods, you please take me along with you, because I'd be begging you. I'd be scared as hell, and it'd be like, you got a sword already, you got a shield, hey, take me with you. I wouldn't be the main character, because they never would put me on a main character role right now. I'm thinking I'd be like a guy they would really stray from that part. But knowing that Link was a guy that really went into took bravery to a whole new level, where he would just go into something that was really horrifying. And then I thought about it for a second. Imagine that first time where you conquered fear. Fear was always the main factor. I thought about what was the first time. It wasn't in the castles. It wasn't in the place. The idea when fear truly became an idea was when you first pulled up the Master Sword. There's where fear truly got his weakness towards me. The sword to kill was revealing, which came almost to a Yu-Gi-Oh strategy. I'm a newcomer to Yu-Gi-Oh, but, well, no, okay. I won't go into the Yu-Gi-Oh, kill you with Yu-Gi-Oh, because that is one of my, because it's not really a game that was a video game starter. I mean, that's more like a card game, but we won't go into card games, because Pokemon was a card game, but I really did not like the card games of Pokemon, because people really blindsided me with it. I'm thinking it's just like the game, and Pokemon cards are I like to collect cards, but if you're going to just do this rule where you always have to take the card at the end, really was pissed me off, because people wanted to take your best card. And think of that for a second. Now, getting kind of carried away because I started with Zelda, and I'm not good at finishing a thought, so I won't finish the Zelda thought right now because I'm giving you a pondering idea. Zelda was a fear. First time you pulled it, breaking the fear and confusion. This is the longest video I've gone so far. Here's the idea. Breaking fear with Link. I will give you a final thought right now because I'm not going to linger in this one. Conquer your fears. Doing that, you have to find the puzzles and the pieces. Get the Master Sword. Get your tools. Now, I know I've been confused on this before because this is the longest video I've done in a long time. I mean, this is the first time I've ever done the videos ever in the history of my life. You know, I've never really been a camera guy, so here's where it becomes uncomfortable. I love that Link was never to use a punch. He always used the solid approach. He used kind of a strategizer. But I thought about that for a second. What if Link was allowed to throw a punch? Which almost made me realize that gaming of fighting styles came a bigger role with me. Fighting styles and fighting approaches. Okay, fighting games were always approach of mine. But think about it. Link was put into one fighting game I could really remember that was always the favorite of mine. Soul Calibur, where it was really the first game I ever saw a weapon introduced where it was actually a part of the game, where it wasn't like you didn't have to unlock it, it was just already in the game. And, you know, like a fighting game where weapons were unleashed to it. It was very rare because I saw it in Mortal Kombat, but it wasn't a time where you didn't have to push a button to do it. You know, you just had your weapon right there. I didn't play the Nintendo series, which was kind of sad because I really like Zelda and I really like Nintendo, but which is why I'm starting to stray into the PlayStation saga. PlayStation was a scary new world, which I will go into details if you're willing to follow my video, which I'm not allowed comments. My videos are as they are. They're not to be judged. They're to kind of ease patience and people who are really scared in these gaming world events. So, during a new experience, I'm kind of tired. I do not want to go to sleep yet because I'm doing new experiences. New thought. Gaming world, gaming experience. Conquer your fears. Good night.